Go ahead now and talk about part 3 of your project, all of which is due on the 24th. And you will be turning in 2 things, and that is your 4 articles and your document analysis. So what I've done on this page, just so I'm not flipping back and forth between tabs, I've copied and pasted everything that you'll need to see. So I'm going to start. This is what you see on Canvas. This is the Civor project module. This is your overview. You've been in there before. You're going to need to go in there again to see what happens next. And I'm on step 3, and it's from the overview. So if your research is done, it should be done, you are now beginning the process of writing your articles. I'll show you this in just a second, but here are the guidelines. For each topic, so you have 2 topics. You have a battle, and then you have a non-battle event that you chose. So let's say for the battle, I'm doing Gettysburg. I'm going to end up writing 2 articles about Gettysburg. One is going to be from the northern perspective. One is from the southern perspective. And then I have my non-battle event. Let's say I picked, I'm trying to think what was on that list, the draft riots. You will have one from the northern, one from the southern perspective. So the goal of any newspaper article is to inform the reader of an event. If you're unfamiliar with the style that they're written in, get on USA Today or New York Times or KC Star and just read a couple articles to see how they're written. They're very, very factually based. So you're going to use your research to thoroughly explain the event. When you were doing your research, I told you to think in terms of who, when, where, why, motive. All of that research is going to go into your article. Here's the thing. Some of the information in your northern and southern articles, so I'm writing about Gettysburg. A northern newspaper and a southern newspaper writing about Gettysburg, they're going to have some of the same information. It's the basic facts like the dates, the locations, the generals, etc. However, a northern article over a battle or event will have a completely different perspective, opinion, and interpretation. So I'll just go ahead and give this one away. The North wins at Gettysburg. Okay, so when a northerner is writing about Gettysburg, it's like an awesome day. It's an awesome event. It's very upbeat. And they're giving a northern perspective. The southern one's going to make it seem a little bit different because they lost the battle. So the tone and the perspective is going to be completely different. You will have some of the same facts, but this is the key to this project, the absolute key. When I read the northern and when I read the southern perspective, they should sound, the interpretation, the perspective should feel different. Okay, so really think through that. If you're having issues with that, if that doesn't make sense, ask me about it because you're getting a lot of points based on that. I went on to say you need to put yourself in the shoes of a southerner or northerner when you report on these events. Ask yourself, as you're writing it, how's a northerner feel about the Battle of Gettysburg? Happy, sad, upset, whatever, and take on that role. A large portion of your grade will be based on writing correctly from the 2 different perspectives. Don't forget, huge on this, proper spelling and grammar and punctuation is required. Also, newspaper articles tend to have shorter paragraphs. Again, I would encourage you to read a couple newspaper articles modern day. Most paragraphs, 3 to 4 sentences. Okay, so it's not long drawn out paragraphs. I don't want to see that. Also, each article needs to be a minimum of 250 words. So what I'm showing you now, when it comes time to write your articles, you will open this one right here. It's the newspaper articles final presentation. And I'm hoping I put in the instructions. I did. Good. Okay, so instructions. You'll see the spaces where you write your articles, blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is key because when you open it up, it is not something you can turn in. So it reads, before you begin, you will need to create your own copy of this document. Either create a new copy or cut and paste it. What you can do is go on there and I'm highlighting it all. Okay, you guys know how to cut and paste. You're experts at that. Cut and paste all of it. Open up a new Google Doc and paste it on there. Then, when you are done, this is your title. You'll put your name, your hour. Please literally do not write your name. your name, your hour, newspaper articles. So just so there's no confusion, if your name's Joe Smith, hour 3, newspaper articles, that will be the title up here. And then you will share that with me. You're not turning this in on Canvas. Okay. All right. So this is what you're going to see. The top, name of the battle. Here's your northern one. I want a title. All newspaper articles have a title. The title should not be the same for both the northern and southern articles about Gettysburg or whatever battle you choose, because they have different perspectives. And then this is where you will actually type it. If I keep scrolling down, we have the event, northern newspaper. This is part 2, the non-battle event. Your title, your text, and your southern. Okay, don't forget the titles. You're getting points for that. So again, that right there, newspaper articles, final presentation, that is where you are copying and pasting, and you will submit that, or you will share that with me. So that's the first part that needs to be turned in. Now I'm reading off and scrolling down. I'm going back to the overview sheet. It says, in addition to creating a presentation, you will need to complete a document analysis. You guys have 2 options on this. It can either be a photograph or a written document. Here are your guidelines. You choose what's easiest. You choose what you're most interested in. Has to be a primary source document dealing with either your battle or your event. Has to be from that time period. If you use a photograph, this is important. So I go back to Gettysburg. Robert E. Lee was the Southern general at Gettysburg. Do not use just a picture of Robert E. Lee. Okay, it cannot be a portrait, because the reason why is when you have a portrait, there's not much to analyze. It's a picture of someone sitting there. So if I'm doing Gettysburg, I might try to find a photo of the battlefield, or something along those lines. If you choose a written document, your choice, diary entry, journals, government document, speeches, etc. Please make sure you understand the document completely, because you do have to analyze it. If you don't understand it, find something else. Okay? Once you find your document, you're going to begin to analyze it. I'm going to show you where that is in just a second. This is worth 1/3 of your grade. Do not rush through it. What I've seen in the past with some of these projects is people have written really, really good articles, or they've built a really good artifact, whatever the project selection was, and they get a 20 out of 20 on that section. But then they get down to their document analysis and they spend 10 minutes on it. They rush through it. They get a 4 out of 10 on that section. And suddenly that 20 out of 20 is a 24 out of 30. And they went from 100% to an 80%. So don't blow this off. That's what I'm getting at. So once you find either your photo or your written document, what you'll do, I'm scrolling back up, you will open this guy right here, which is the project document analysis form. Okay, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. Bear with me. Okay, once you open it up, it's going to look like this. One thing I have done, and I think you're going to figure this out, I have put all the analysis forms for all the projects on one Google Doc. You're not doing all of these, okay? The reason I did this is just, if I didn't do it this way, the grade book would end up being a mess. So you didn't do artifact, you didn't do biography. This is what you're concerned about. Like I said, you can either do written document analysis or a photograph. You only have to do one. You're not doing both. Your choice. Make sure the document's from the Civil War time period. Make sure it's over your battle or your non-battle event. If you choose a photograph, it can't be a portrait, etc. Okay, for all projects, not just the newspaper article, complete sentences are required on every question. Proper spelling and grammar should be used. Spell check it. Notice sentence requirements. As always, when you're writing for me, the more detailed you can be, the better. I'll never penalize you for being more detailed. You start losing points if it's not detailed enough. And again, it's 1/3 of your grade. So when those are the instructions, then you'll start scrolling down. You're going to pass this. You didn't do the artifact. Don't worry about it. We get to the biography. You didn't do the biography. You didn't do the biography. Yours is at the very bottom. Here's the one for the written document. And here are the questions. Or if you chose the photograph, here's the form that you're going to fill in. Okay. For both of them, whether you do the photograph or the written document, the first thing, I have to have this. Won't grade it. If you do a written document, I want you to copy and paste that document right here. Okay. You also need to include the URL address. That's the web address. Same thing for the photograph. I want a copy of the photograph there, and I want the URL of where you found it right there. Okay, so by the 24th, you will be turning in this document analysis in your 4 articles. If anything comes up, if something doesn't make sense, if you have questions, confusions, whatever, talk to me in class, email me, do a good job on this, 30 points. Final thing, because I didn't copy and paste it on here. But on your overview sheet, sorry, bear with me. On your overview sheet at the very bottom, there's a link. If you click on that link, it takes you to the rubric. That is the rubric, exactly how I'll grade you. So strong suggestion would be look at that rubric before you start this so you know exactly what you're getting graded on.